Hi pals, how are you doing? It is the showstopper, Mr. Leopard, and today I'm here to make a brief political commentary. And I specifically want to comment about the visit by the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya to the US of A and now in the UK. So, the import of this discussion is for us to be able to say whether this particular trip has added value to the Deputy President or it has actually taken virtue from him. So, I'll tell you at the end of it what I feel. And in order for me to be able to justify and explain what I'm saying, I have to give you a little bit of preamble. So we have to premise this discussion on two things. Number one, we need to position the mentality, the culture, the political culture, and the traditions of the countries that William Ruto has visited and is therefore advancing his arguments. And we need to vis-a-vis mirror our own culture around Kenya. So, number one, in Kenya, it is possible for a sitting deputy president of the republic to disagree with his boss and still not resign. In Kenya, it is possible for a sitting head of state or even a government official to go to a foreign nation and then bring disrepute to the sovereignty of those people, with an exception of Rwanda, because I have listened to President Kagame speak in sitting. In fact, when the late John Pombe Magufuli was elected chairman of the East African Community. In that particular forum, I hear Paul Kagame say that I do not give advice to other heads of state. There was another economic forum that happened in Kigali just the other day, about a year ago. And I heard Paul Kagame say a second time, I do not give advice to foreign governments. I do not give advice to head of state. I do not give advice to other sovereign states. What he is saying in reciprocal is that I do not take advice from foreign governments. So, with an exception of Kagame in Africa, the general culture, and maybe the other exception would be Nelson Mandela, because after Nelson Mandela came out of prison and he was in the US and he was supposed to meet Congress so that, it is so that the US Congress could lift the sanction that they had put on South Africa. ANC was a terrorist group and the economic sanctions and all that. And then in that particular interview, it was a media interview, in came via the internet, Buthelezi, and he was challenging Mandela to say, hey man, you couldn't even just show up at my door and tell me A, B, C, D. And Mandela told him off. He told him off that, look at you. You are making a mockery of our sovereignty, wanting me and you to discuss the internal affairs of our nation in a foreign nation. So, with an exception of Kagame and Nelson Mandela, most of these other places, including Kenya, a deputy head of state and a serving sitting government official can actually go to a foreign state and then put to disrepute the sovereignty of that nation and even discuss the demerits, the weaknesses, and his displeasure at his head of state, and to make matters worse, while still serving as deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. So you need to look at how this image that I've created mirrors the image of the nations that William Ruto has gone to, which is the United States and the UK. The US is a place where when a scandal is mentioned in your government, in your ministry, the Watergate scandal and any other scandal that has ever been mentioned, those leaders resign. There isn't any other option. You resign at zero provocation. The only exception to this has been Donald Trump. He's the only fellow who pushed through when he was put to the wall. And so I'm just trying to say that the nation where William Ruto has gone to present these issues and discuss how disgusting our democratic space looks like and how disgusting our instruments of government are behaving, he is speaking to an audience. Both the natives and even the Kenyans who live in that diaspora have systematically joined that culture, and they perceive life that way. They perceive civility that way. And they have embraced and accepted the fact that when you are disgruntled with your country, when you are disgruntled with the office that you are serving, you resign and then you start saying those things. However, William Ruto is saying those things while he's still serving deputy president and he's not resigning. They would expect that he should actually resign and then upon resigning start saying those things. I want you to understand that I'm not speaking my thoughts into the situation, but I am telling you the audience to which William Ruto is speaking to is an audience that is looking at him as a madman. It is an audience that is looking at him with a lot of wonder. It is an audience that is listening to him and imagining that he has suddenly made himself the 13th wonder of the world, whereby he is painting a very gloomy picture. He is painting a very bad image of his head of state. He is painting a very disgusting image of the institution that he is supposed to be presiding, and he's going to cry foul in a foreign nation about his own nation, and that is a total lapse, a total failure on the diplomatic corps, and I will justify that. Number one, I want you to go 6 years back into the visit by President Barack Obama into Kenya. And then on one of the visits, besides, the meeting that took place at UNEP, the Business Economic Forum, he had another forum in KU, and on the side steps of that forum, he had a meeting with the opposition leaders. He met Raila, Kalonzo, Wetangula, and Martha Karua. I don't know who else were there. The photos bring up the late Nyenze and all that. But from that meeting, Obama made a confession and revealed two things to us. He said that one of the leaders of the opposition asked him as president to put more pressure on the Kenyan government along certain lines. And Obama actually betrayed this official, and he said, and I'm quoting him verbatim, "I remember when you were in government." What does that mean? Obama went ahead to say it is very interesting how leaders of a government will say one thing when they are in power and say that we should not meddle in their affairs, but when they are out of power, then they want the United States to intervene and actually meddle in their internal affairs. And this is typical of what William Ruto represents today, because when it was expedient to him and the president at the time, and they were hosts at The Hague, and the international community had issues with them. Obama in Ghana said that he is not visiting Kenya because they still have some issues to settle with the international community. At that particular time, Johnny Carson, who was the African representative, was saying choices have consequences. And the Ruto actually said that it didn't matter. They don't bear their allegiance to the Western powers. Uhuru left William Ruto as an acting president, and when he went to The Hague and came back, he said he went to Hague just as a normal guy, not as the head of state, because he could not jeopardize the sovereignty of the nation to another foreign nation. And he went ahead to say that he does not belong to the camp of the opposition, which is Raila and others, who are doing the exact things that William Ruto is doing right now, trying to cry to the West. And Uhuru said in his own words that wao wanaenda kulamba matako ya wazungu, sisi hatuwezi kulamba matako ya wazungu. Now, he was trying to say the exact things that Barack Obama was saying at the time, that when William Ruto was in power and enjoying the echelons of power, he did not want the Western powers to meddle in the internal affairs. But now that he is feeling that that power has been snatched from him, and he is now feeling like he does not have power anymore, then he wants the United States to intervene and do something about it. So the Obama statement of that time was his foreign policy ideology and philosophy, and I want to believe that that is still the same foreign policy ideology and philosophy that Joe Biden, who was vice president to Obama for a clean 8 years, and his strength is in foreign policy. He was Barack Obama's foreign policy advisor, and he is the sitting United States of America president today. And that should tell you that what William Ruto has done can be looked into the context of the encounter between Obama and the Kenyan opposition at the time, and tell you outrightly and forthrightly that this visit has actually taken virtue from William Ruto than it has given him more value. Now, the last quote, and it's very brief, that I will make. William Ruto has gone to the United States and to the UK, and he is actually letting out secret deals between him and the president. He is saying what was and what was not. He is saying what the terms of their engagement, what the terms of government were. He is dispelling the claims that he had half of the government. He's saying no. He's dispelling the claims of, how their working arrangement and their agreement about the handshake. He goes ahead to talk about what the handshake was and what it was not, what the president told him, what he told the president, what he advised the president, and all that. Now, the revelations by William Ruto about the private confidential discussions with the president makes him absolutely unpresidential in the eyes of the Americans and in the eyes of the Britons. Why do I say so? When Mwai Kibaki and Raila Odinga formed the Grand Coalition government, Mwai Kibaki made Raila to sign a certain document, and it was an oath of secrecy that his advice to the president would be confidential, would be secret. Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka signed a secret pact that was deposited with Professor Makau Mutua as the advocate for Kalonzo, with terms and conditions that even Kalonzo was not allowed to disclose, that even Raila was not allowed to disclose, not even Professor Kibwana, who was a witness, except the advocate of the time, which was Professor Makau Mutua, is the one with the veto powers about that. Now, what am I trying to say? That presidential protocols are such that there are certain secrecy. There is a secret way and manner in which the presidential corps operates and in which the diplomatic corps operates. Now, all the embassies and high commissions that are domiciled in Kenya have their own secret interest. They have their own interest. They put their money where their interests are. They have interest in security. They have interest in business. And all these interests are secret. What we are told in press conferences are just for purposes of us, just being on board. But the truth of what goes to pen and paper is highly secretive. It is high level secrecy. It is the kind of things that a president of a republic, like a president of Kenya, cannot actually disclose the secret dealings that they have with, a foreign government. For example, Americans have interests in the region, and the interests that they have made Kenya, being a strong strategic partner in the region, to be that launchpad and to be that base where they operate from. Now, you don't expect that a head of state should be able to freely reveal those kind of secrets. Just the same way I told you a few days ago that I took exception to Kalonzo's statement when he was talking about their secret deal with Raila Odinga in a document, when he went ahead to talk about the diplomatic issues that he had been appointed by the president to mediate South Sudan issues. And Kalonzo goes ahead to talk about the real issues about, the unification of the military between SPLM, the opposition, and the government of South Sudan, if they can have one army. You don't discuss those kind of things. And Kalonzo, being a professional diplomat, that was a failure on his part, and it is exactly what William Ruto is doing. The mere fact that he can disclose in a public forum as opposed to a closed door meeting with the state officials makes William Ruto unpresidential. And that takes virtue from him, as Francis Kimemia on Citizen TV told us that the deep state in deal exists, and the deep state is not just intrinsic in a nation. It is an extrinsic factor that even the international community has interests, and they are part of the deep state. That if they feel that you are a threat to their aspirations and to their interests, then they can play their cards to edge you out as part of the deep state. And so take it from me that the unpresidential way in which William Ruto has conducted himself on this tour in the US and in the UK, revealing secrets of government while he is still serving in that government, revealing secrets between a head of state, which he deputizes while he is still serving that head of state as a deputy president, is unpresidential, and going to a foreign nation to talk about the weaknesses and the cracks in a government he presides over, not as a resigned president who is now talking about the reasons why he resigned, but as a serving deputy president, is unpresidential, and he has just put himself at loggerheads with the international community that he is not presidential enough to keep the secretive nature of military operations, of business dealings, of how the West exercises their power. Even these issues of, COVID-19, the vaccines, and what have you. You have seen Kenya, applying for loans and getting those Fulizas unhindered. It is because they have agreed to work along a certain pedigree, and agreeing to work, with the World Health Organization on those terms is what makes it possible for Kenya to get access to those COVID funds. And do not forget that Kenya has a seat at the UN Security Council. It is a partner in the international community of so much repute that the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya has brought disrepute to that profile of our nation among a community of nations. But just to close it, who did William Ruto meet? He met people who are inconsequential in foreign policy. He did not meet the federal government officials, President Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris. He didn't meet a committee of parliament. Well, he met a leader of one of the committees of Congress and all that. But it was not good enough. And I conclude that the visit in the US actually took a lot of virtue from William Ruto, and he has exposed himself as unpresidential and too weak to be expected to hold the weight and the mandate of the office of president. These are my thoughts. They are not personal persuasions. They are just what I find to be the case. And I actually warn you that Mike Sonko has had a persona non grata on him by the United States of America. On what grounds? Because of corruption, whether it is perception or truth. I can tell you to watch this space. It is the beginning of something that is choreographed, and it will manifest in the fullness of time, and it will metamorphosize, it will expand from Mike Sonko, and it will go to another set of government officials, and another set of government officials, and another set of government officials. And we will be here to talk about it. I will remind you, it is the show stop, Mr. Leopard. Let's keep talking about this deep thinking, fast, cascaded, forward-looking thoughts. God bless you.